The arrival. The sky had never looked so strange. In the late evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, tiny lights appeared above the cities. At first, people thought they were drones, or maybe satellites. But soon, it became clear, they were too large, too organized, and too silent to be anything man-made. In New York, Emma sat on her apartment balcony, coffee in hand, staring at the sky. The lights moved in perfect formation, like a school of fish, shimmering against the darkening blue. Her phone buzzed constantly, news alerts, social media posts, panic spreading like wildfire. Aliens. One headline screamed. Massive UFO fleet near Earth, read another. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In Tokyo, the city lights reflected off a strange silver object hovering silently above the skyline. In Paris, people stopped mid-step, mouths open, pointing at the glowing shapes moving in the clouds. Governments scrambled jets into the air. Military bases went on high alert. Yet no one fired a single shot. No one knew what to expect. In the Pentagon, General Hayes stared at the radar screen. Thousands of blips, perfectly synchronized, circled the Earth. "Sir, they're everywhere," an officer said. "We can't track their movement properly. They're intelligent." Hayes rubbed his tired eyes. "Intelligent or not," he muttered, "they are coming here. We need a plan. And fast." Meanwhile, on a quiet street in Cairo, a young boy named Amir ran toward the open field near his home. He had seen the lights first from his roof and now wanted a closer look. When he reached the field, he froze. A shadow passed overhead, huge and metallic. The air vibrated with a low hum, almost like a song, soft and deep. Amir had never heard anything like it. His heart pounded, but he could not move. Back in New York, Emma's phone rang. It was her brother, Mark. "Have you seen it?" he shouted. "It's real. It's really real." Emma nodded silently, her eyes fixed on the sky. Then a single, enormous craft descended from the fleet. Unlike the rest, it moved slowly, almost deliberately. It hovered just above the city. People screamed. Cars screeched to a halt. Police sirens wailed in the distance. And then, nothing. Silence. The craft stayed suspended, immovable, as if watching. Inside the ship, a strange blue light pulsed. No sounds of engines, no windows, no doors, just a smooth metallic surface glowing faintly. Something about it felt alive. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the bottom of the ship and touched the street below. Emma and the crowd nearby could feel heat, not intense, but enough to make the hairs on their arms stand. Shapes began to form in the beam. Figures, humanoid in shape, tall and elegant, glowing faintly like the ship itself. Their faces were hidden, but their presence radiated power. People panicked and ran. But some, like Amir, stayed frozen, staring. Emma grabbed his hand, trying to pull him back, but she too felt a strange calm in their presence, almost magnetic. From the distance, military jets circled, hesitating to fire. No weapons could reach the beings. It was as if the air itself rejected violence. On a small news broadcast, a reporter tried to speak, but her voice shook. "Citizens of Earth, unknown beings have arrived. We do not know their intentions." The broadcast cut off as the signal flickered. Hours passed. The fleet did not attack. They did not speak. They simply hovered. People went inside their homes, unable to sleep, eyes glued to the windows. Some tried to communicate with phones, radios, even lasers, but there was no response. Only the hum, low and steady, filled the cities. Then, just when the tension seemed unbearable, the first strange message appeared on every digital screen in the world. "We come to learn, and to test." The words disappeared as suddenly as they appeared. Panic surged again. Was it a threat? Or a simple statement? Governments argued endlessly, scientists analyzed every angle, but no answer came. Emma could not stop thinking about the figures she saw in the light. Something in their posture suggested they were watching humanity closely, as if measuring, judging. And in that moment, she realized, these visitors were nothing like humans had imagined. They were not chaotic, not emotional. They were precise, calculating, and powerful beyond imagination. At the edge of the city, Amir's eyes widened. From behind the massive hovering craft, one figure separated from the rest. Slowly, carefully, it walked toward the ground. Its movement was smooth, almost floating. And then, it stopped. It turned, looking directly at him. Amir's breath caught. He could not speak. The being raised a hand, not threatening, but signaling. A silent invitation, or a warning. He didn't know. And then, as quickly as it had moved, the figure vanished in a flash of light, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air. Emma watched from her balcony, heart racing. She felt a strange certainty, whatever this encounter was, it would change everything. Humanity was about to meet its greatest challenge, and perhaps its greatest test. The arrival had begun. The next morning, the world woke to an eerie calm. The alien fleet still hovered above every major city, but there was no movement, no sound, except the faint, rhythmic hum that seemed to vibrate through the earth itself. News channels showed endless footage of the ships, massive and unblinking, casting long shadows over streets and fields. People watched from their windows, uncertain whether to feel fear or awe. In New York, Emma could not sleep. Her mind replayed the scene from the night before, the single figure in the light, the way it had watched her and Amir. She felt an urge she could not explain, a curiosity stronger than her fear. Something about them was different. Across the city, military operations continued. Fighter jets circled the massive crafts, drones flew alongside them, but no action was taken. The ships did not move aggressively, nor did they communicate. Scientists and leaders were baffled. How could beings so advanced remain completely silent? At a remote observatory in Chile, Dr. Luis Herrera stared at the readings on his monitor. Their ships are generating a field. It's like they're reading the Earth itself, he said, voice trembling. His assistant, Mara, leaned over the console. Reading the Earth? You mean, they know everything we do? Luis nodded slowly. Not everything, but they can detect movement, signals, maybe even our thoughts. It's like they're learning without touching anything. Meanwhile, in Cairo, Amir could not stop thinking about the figure that had looked at him. He wandered near the open field again, hoping for another glimpse. And then he saw it. Just beyond the tall grass, glowing faintly, the alien figure stood motionless. Amir froze. The being tilted its head, as if observing him. And then, it did something extraordinary. It reached out a hand. Slowly, carefully, it touched the ground, and a small orb of light floated upward. The orb hovered in the air and pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Amir felt a sudden warmth in his chest, a connection he could not explain. At the same moment, Emma received a call from Mark. "You need to see this," he said urgently. They're trying to communicate." Emma rushed to the news screen. Across the world, similar scenes unfolded. In cities and fields, the aliens extended their hands, releasing small orbs of light. Wherever the light touched, it displayed images, cities, oceans, forests, even people. And then, the images changed. Scenes of destruction, war, and suffering appeared. Humanity had not been hidden from them. The message was clear. They knew our history, our violence, our mistakes. And yet, there was no anger in their display. Only observation. In New York, Emma watched as one orb floated into her apartment. It hovered in the air, glowing softly. She reached out, trembling, and the moment her fingers touched it, a flood of images and sounds filled her mind, not painful, but overwhelming. She saw herself, her brother, the city, Earth from space. And then, the aliens. Tall, elegant figures, standing silently in a circle, hands raised. They were not hostile, but they were assessing, learning, measuring. Emma realized that this was their way of communicating, not with words, but with understanding. Meanwhile, military leaders struggled to respond. Some wanted to attack immediately, fearing the unknown. Others urged caution. "We cannot fight what we do not understand," General Hayes said, looking at the radar. "If we strike first, we risk ending everything." Back in Cairo, Amir knelt on the ground as the orb pulsed brighter. He heard a voice, not in his ears, but in his mind. Clear, calm, and unthreatening. "We come in peace. We wish to learn, to understand. But we must see your courage, your choices, your spirit. Only then will trust grow." Amir's heart raced. He had never felt anything like this. The message was simple, yet it carried weight. These beings were intelligent beyond measure. And they were watching humanity, carefully, patiently. Emma and Amir were not alone. Across the globe, millions of people experienced the same connection. Small, glowing orbs delivering the first real communication from the visitors. Panic remained, but curiosity began to grow as well. For the first time, humans realized they were being seen, not as threats but as something else. By evening, the world seemed to hold its breath. Scientists, leaders, and ordinary citizens alike were united in awe. The aliens had not attacked. They had not enslaved. They had simply reached out, testing humanity's reaction. And yet, a question hung in the air like a shadow. Why Earth? Why now? Emma looked out over the city from her balcony. The fleet still hovered silently, massive and imposing. She thought of Amir, of the glowing orb, of the alien figure she had seen. A strange excitement mixed with fear filled her chest. This was only the beginning. Humanity had met its first true challenge, and its first chance to prove itself. In the distance, a deep hum began to rise from the fleet, louder than ever. It was not threatening, but it was commanding attention. Emma felt the vibrations in her chest, in her bones. Something was coming. Something no one could yet understand. And then, from the center of the largest ship, a single figure descended. Not in light this time, but in shadow, stepping onto the streets of the city. People froze. Military jets hovered tensely. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Emma's eyes widened. She knew, without understanding how, that the true first contact was about to happen. The streets of New York were unlike anything the world had ever seen. A massive alien figure, taller than any human, moved carefully through the city. Its glowing form pulsed softly, casting long, wavering shadows over the terrified crowd. People froze, some falling to their knees, others whispering prayers. Emma stood on her balcony, heart pounding. She had never felt such fear, and such awe, at the same time. The alien's steps were deliberate, almost graceful, as if it knew exactly where it wanted to go. Beside her, Amir held his glowing orb tightly, still trembling from the memory of its pulse and the message in his mind. The world watched through live feeds. Governments scrambled, military leaders argued endlessly. Some wanted to fire immediately, to destroy what they could not understand. Others urged calm, insisting that the figure had not harmed anyone. "If we strike," General Hayes warned, "we risk starting a war with beings far beyond our understanding. That's not bravery. That's suicide." But the tension was impossible to contain. In streets across the world, small riots broke out. People panicked, desperate for answers, angry that humanity had no control over the situation. Fear and confusion spread like wildfire, even as the aliens remained silent. Meanwhile, the figure in New York stopped near a large open square. Its glowing hand rose slowly. A pulse of light spread outward, and a holographic map appeared above the city, showing the Earth and thousands of symbols. People gasped. Scientists rushed to interpret the display. Dr. Luis Herrera, watching from Chile, gasped. "It's a global network," he whispered. "They're mapping every human city, every population center, every natural resource. They are learning about us, everywhere, all at once." Emma could barely breathe. The scale of it was terrifying. And yet, the alien did not attack. It simply stood, watching the people below. In Cairo, Amir noticed a small group of humans approaching the figure, cautiously, hands raised to show peace. They spoke, shouted, pleaded, but no words seemed to reach the alien. Then, one of the glowing orbs lifted into the air, forming a pattern that seemed almost like a gesture. The humans froze. Slowly, they realized, the aliens were communicating, not with words, but with light and movement. As hours passed, scientists and engineers around the world attempted to respond. Computers translated the pulses of light into simple symbols. Slowly, a message began to form. We do not harm without cause. Observe. Learn. Humanity must prove its spirit. The words sent a chill through every viewer. The aliens were watching, judging. Humanity's actions mattered, and the slightest misstep could provoke consequences none could imagine. Governments panicked. The United Nations called emergency meetings, debating whether to attack, negotiate, or hide. Military fleets from different countries gathered near the alien crafts, scanning and preparing. But every test, every missile, every radar ping seemed to fade into nothing. The aliens ignored them, or worse, they neutralized them without showing aggression. Emma felt the tension in the air, heavy and almost physical. People around her were shouting, running, arguing. Fear clashed with curiosity. And above it all, the silent figure remained, glowing and unmovable. Then, a strange phenomenon occurred. Across the city, electronic devices flickered, phones, televisions, radios. Screens displayed short, sharp images, moments of courage from humans around the world. A soldier helping a child. A firefighter rescuing people. A woman saving her neighbor from an accident. It was as if the aliens were observing human choices, not just collective actions, but individual acts of bravery and kindness. Emma stared in disbelief. Could this be why they had come? To test humanity's spirit, its courage, its resilience? Amir's orb pulsed brighter than ever. He looked at the alien figure, and felt a wave of understanding wash over him. This was not a threat. It was a challenge. The aliens wanted to see the best in humans, or perhaps, the worst. And yet, fear could not be contained. In a nearby street, a group of people panicked and threw rocks at the glowing figure. The aliens did not react immediately. Then, in a blink, a wall of soft blue energy appeared, separating the humans from the aliens without harm. The crowd gasped. The message was clear: aggression would not be tolerated, but retaliation would be precise. The military hesitated, unsure if they could act. They were armed and ready, but every instinct told them the aliens were far beyond human weapons. No strike would succeed. Humanity was not in control. Emma whispered to Amir, "They're testing us, right? They're seeing if we can handle this." Amir nodded, clutching the orb. Hours turned into a tense day. People began to realize that the aliens were not mindless invaders. They were intelligent, calculating, and patient. They were waiting for humanity to act in ways that mattered. Small acts of bravery and kindness were noted. Aggression and fear were noted too. And then, just before nightfall, the first direct communication occurred. Across every digital screen on Earth, a message appeared in simple, glowing symbols. Humans, we see you. Your choices define you. Show us your courage. Show us your spirit, or fail. Emma felt a chill. This was no ordinary first contact. This was a test. The fate of humanity was being judged, not by weapons, not by armies, but by the choices of ordinary people. And somewhere in the shadows, Amir saw a second figure emerge from the fleet. Unlike the first, it moved quickly, almost impatiently. It was smaller, closer to human size, and its glowing eyes seemed to lock onto Amir and Emma's apartment. The message was clear. Humanity had been noticed. Individually, intimately. And the rising tension of the world was about to reach a breaking point. For the first time, the HFY truth became clear. Humans were being measured not for strength, but for courage, intelligence, and spirit. The aliens had come to conquer in one sense. Not by force, but by testing whether humanity was worthy. And the first true challenge was about to begin. The world had changed in less than a week. Cities were still crowded with terrified citizens, but there was something new: determination. Humanity was learning that fear alone would not define them. The alien fleet still hovered above the skies, massive, silent, and glowing, but now humans were beginning to act, not with weapons, but with courage, intelligence, and creativity. In New York, Emma stood with a mirror on the rooftop, watching the first figure move through the streets below. People were no longer running blindly. Volunteers guided civilians to safety, medics moved calmly through the chaos, and engineers set up communication devices to try to understand the alien signals. Emma clenched her fists. "They're watching us," she said softly. "Every choice we make, it matters." Amir nodded. The orb in his hand pulsed brighter than ever. He had realized something incredible. The aliens seemed to respond to creativity and courage. Every act of problem-solving, every rescue, every brave step forward sent a ripple through the glowing fleet. Across the city, a group of engineers had devised a simple but clever device: a large holographic projector designed to mimic the orb's light patterns. The goal was to communicate with the aliens in a way they might understand. They set it up in Central Park, surrounded by a growing crowd. The aliens paused. One figure moved closer, studying the display. A pulse of light responded to the holograms, almost like an acknowledgement. Emma watched, heart racing. The first real human-alien dialogue was beginning, not with words, but with understanding. Meanwhile, in Cairo, Amir saw a small group of children step forward. Terrified yet brave, they held the glowing orbs carefully and approached one of the alien figures. Instead of recoiling, the alien bent slightly, letting the children see its form up close. It did not harm them. It observed. And in that observation, Amir sensed respect. The world's militaries remained tense, but even soldiers began to notice a pattern. Weapons had no effect on the aliens. Force alone could not win this test. It was human ingenuity, intelligence, and courage that mattered. In Tokyo, a scientist named Akira led a team building a network of sensors and lights to respond to the alien pulses. Every signal was carefully decoded, every movement analyzed. Slowly, patterns emerged. The aliens seemed to reward collaboration, teamwork, and innovation. Single acts of selfishness or panic caused pulses of warning light to spread across the fleet. But acts of cooperation and bravery, those caused the orbs to pulse brighter, almost warmly. Emma realized the truth. The aliens were not just testing humanity, they were teaching them. Every challenge, every observation, every choice was a lesson in what it meant to be human. Courage, kindness, intelligence, creativity, these were the qualities being measured. As the sun began to set, a global effort emerged. Cities worldwide coordinated actions. Volunteers rescued people from dangerous areas, engineers built devices to communicate, scientists shared data instantly. Ordinary humans were performing extraordinary acts. And the aliens watched. But the test was not simple. In New York, a small group of panicked citizens tried to attack one of the hovering figures. The alien responded instantly, forming a shield of glowing energy that separated them without harming anyone. The crowd gasped, then realized violence would not work. Only strength of mind and spirit could meet the challenge. Amir's orb pulsed violently. He felt a connection, not just to the alien figure, but to every act of courage happening around the world. Humanity was rising to meet the test. Emma took a deep breath. She understood that bravery did not mean fighting blindly. It meant making the right choice in the face of fear. She looked down at the people moving calmly through the streets, helping each other, solving problems, and making careful decisions. This was human strength, and it was more than the aliens expected. Hours later, the first true communication arrived. Across every screen in every city, glowing symbols formed a message in simple English. Humans show courage. You adapt. You cooperate. You are stronger than we expected. But the greatest test is yet to come. Emma felt a thrill run through her chest. They had passed the first part of the challenge. Humanity had proven that it could act wisely under pressure, think creatively, and care for one another. But the aliens were not done. A deeper, more deliberate pulse radiated from the largest ship in orbit. It was not a threat yet, but it was undeniable. Something significant was about to happen. In Cairo, Amir looked at the smaller alien figure. It moved closer, hovering at his eye level. The orb in his hand pulsed in sync with the alien's light. And then, the alien made a gesture, pointing toward the horizon, toward the edge of the city. Emma and Amir exchanged a glance. They both understood without words. The next part of the test would be even harder. The aliens had pushed humanity to show courage and intelligence, but now, it was time to see what humans were truly capable of. In New York, scientists and leaders gathered on rooftops, studying every pulse, every light, every movement from the fleet. They realized that the aliens were preparing something, an event that could change the world. Emma looked over the city. People were no longer afraid in the same way. Fear remained, yes, but alongside it was determination, unity, and hope. Humanity was discovering a strength it had never known. And somewhere, in the glowing shapes of the alien fleet, recognition, perhaps even respect, was forming. As night fell, the hum of the fleet grew louder. A low, steady vibration filled the air. Emma's heart raced. This was no ordinary first contact. This was a trial. A test of courage, creativity, and spirit. And humanity, ordinary humans, brave humans, was rising to meet it. Somewhere in the shadows, the smaller alien figure stepped forward, its glowing eyes scanning the city. Emma knew that the next challenge would demand everything humanity had to offer. And for the first time, she felt ready. The world held its breath. Weeks had passed since the alien fleet first appeared, and humanity had already shown courage, intelligence, and unity. Yet now, the aliens were preparing a test unlike anything humans had faced before. From space, the largest craft released a pulse of light that covered entire cities. Streets, buildings, even oceans shimmered as a strange energy spread across the planet. The humans felt it in their bones, in the ground beneath their feet. A vibration that was not harmful but undeniable. It was a challenge. Emma and Amir watched from the rooftop, hearts pounding. The smaller alien figure hovered nearby, its glowing eyes scanning the city. The orb in Amir's hand pulsed in sync with the alien's light. They knew the test had begun. Across the world, humans scrambled. Military leaders, scientists, engineers, and civilians all worked together. But this time, ingenuity alone would not be enough. The alien's energy pulse created obstacles, blocks of light that moved like walls, floating spheres of energy that blocked paths, and strange gravity shifts that made walking dangerous. Humanity had to adapt, or be trapped. In New York, Emma helped guide a group of children through a street now divided by glowing walls. Amir held the orb, using it to detect safe paths. "Follow me," Emma shouted, as they navigated the shifting landscape. Every step required careful thought, teamwork, and courage. Meanwhile, scientists like Dr. Luis Herrera coordinated globally, sending real-time data to cities across the planet. "The aliens are testing our problem-solving on a massive scale," he explained. "They're creating obstacles, watching how we respond. Every choice matters." But there was another challenge, more subtle. The aliens were observing human emotions, testing patience, empathy, and selflessness. In one city, a group of survivors faced a choice: save themselves by abandoning others trapped in the energy fields, or risk their own safety to help. Many hesitated, hearts racing. Then, one person stepped forward, leading the others into the danger to rescue their neighbors. The orb of light that appeared in response pulsed brighter than anyone had seen before. Emma felt a wave of awe and pride. Humans were rising to the occasion, not just physically, but morally. The aliens were measuring courage, intelligence, and the human spirit. And humanity, ordinary yet extraordinary, was shining through. Amir's orb pulsed violently, stronger than ever. The smaller alien figure hovered closer, observing. Then, in a moment that stunned them both, it extended its glowing hand toward Amir. The orb floated upward, merging with the alien's light. A voice, calm, deep, and gentle, echoed in Amir's mind. You have begun to understand. Humanity is stronger than expected. Yet one final test remains. Show unity. Show sacrifice. Show the spirit that defines you. Emma and Amir exchanged a glance. They realized the true test was not obstacles, not puzzles, but the choices humans made for one another. The aliens wanted to see if humanity could rise above fear, above selfishness, and act together. Across the world, the pattern became clear. Cities coordinated in ways never attempted before. Teams guided civilians through the energy fields, scientists shared solutions instantly, and ordinary people performed acts of bravery on a massive scale. It was humanity at its best, adaptable, clever, and selfless. And then, something unexpected happened. From the largest ship, a new energy pulse formed, a shimmering structure above New York, glowing with power. It was a massive test, more complex than anything before, a combination of obstacles, illusions, and moral challenges. If humans failed, countless people could be trapped forever. Emma's heart raced. We have to do this, she whispered. Amir nodded. They joined teams guiding citizens, solving problems, and calming panic. Every decision mattered. Every small act of courage contributed to the larger effort. Hours passed. The energy fields shifted constantly, but humans adapted. They found solutions together, risking themselves to help strangers. Children were rescued, elderly helped, and the lost guided back to safety. And everywhere, the glowing orbs pulsed brighter, an unmistakable sign that the aliens were observing, approving, and learning. Finally, at the climax of the test, the largest energy structure began to collapse. Humans had navigated, collaborated, and sacrificed, showing the best of their kind. Emma and Amir stood on a rooftop, watching as the energy dissolved, leaving the streets intact and safe. Then, across the globe, every glowing figure and orb pulsed in unison. The alien fleet descended slightly, massive shapes glowing warmly, almost like a nod of approval. And the message appeared on every screen in the world. Humanity has proven itself. You are capable of courage, unity, and sacrifice. You are stronger than expected. You have passed the turning point. Emma let out a long breath. Tears filled her eyes, not of fear, but of pride. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge yet, and had risen to meet it. Amir's orb dimmed, then floated to him, gentle and soft. The smaller alien figure hovered nearby, studying him with glowing eyes. And then, slowly, it raised its hand, a gesture of respect, or perhaps friendship. Amir realized the message was clear. Humans had been recognized, not just as survivors, but as worthy. Across the planet, people cheered, cried, and hugged strangers. Humanity had learned a powerful truth. Strength was not just in weapons or power, but in courage, intelligence, compassion, and unity. Humans had proven that they were not just survivors, they were something more. But even as relief spread, Emma knew one thing: the aliens were still here. Their true intentions had not yet been revealed. The turning point had been passed, yes, but the final chapter of this encounter, and the true test of humanity, was yet to come. And somewhere, in the shadow of the largest ship, a silent figure waited, observing, patient, and ready to see what humans would do next. The world was quiet now, but it was a quiet unlike any before. The alien fleet still hovered above the skies, massive and glowing, but their energy pulses no longer challenged humanity. Instead, there was a calm, almost serene, presence, a signal that the turning point had been reached. Emma stood on her rooftop, looking up at the largest ship. Her heart still raced from the trials of the past days. Humanity had faced fear, chaos, and uncertainty, and yet, they had risen above. Courage, intelligence, unity, and sacrifice had defined every choice. They had passed the aliens' test. Amir held the orb in his hands, which pulsed gently now, like a heartbeat in sync with the world. The smaller alien figure hovered near him, eyes glowing softly, observing, waiting. And then, slowly, a new message appeared. Not in symbols, not in light, but directly in the minds of humans everywhere. We have come to witness, not conquer. We have watched your courage, your choices, your spirit. Humanity is unique, exceptional. You have proven that strength is not only in power, but in heart and mind. You are worthy. Across the globe, people paused in disbelief. The words carried a weight no one could deny. Governments, scientists, ordinary citizens, they all felt it. Humanity had been measured, tested, and recognized by beings far beyond their understanding. Emma turned to Amir. They're not enemies, she whispered. Amir nodded. No, he said softly. They wanted to see us, understand us, and we showed them who we are. The alien figure stepped forward. Its glowing form pulsed brighter, and then it made a gesture toward the orb in Amir's hands. The orb floated upward and merged with the figure's light, expanding into a soft, radiant glow that spread across the city. It was a connection, not invasive, not controlling, but a bond. In New York, people gathered in streets and parks, watching the light, feeling the vibration in their chests. There was no fear. Only awe, pride, and a quiet understanding. Humans had been acknowledged by beings far greater than themselves. Dr. Luis Herrera, watching from Chile, felt tears streaming down his face. They came to conquer, but they didn't, he whispered. They came to test, and they found humanity worthy. Across the world, other observers shared the same realization. The HFY truth was undeniable. Humans were more than survivors. They were thinkers, creators, and moral beings capable of courage, ingenuity, and unity. Even in fear, humanity had chosen to rise above. The smaller alien figure hovered above Emma and Amir one last time. Then, without warning, it turned toward the edge of the city, ascending slowly toward the fleet. The massive ships began to shift, forming a pattern in the sky, a gesture that seemed almost celebratory. And then, the voice came again, soft but clear, in the minds of everyone on Earth. We leave now, but we will watch. You have proven your worth. Continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to show the spirit that defines you. The galaxy is vast, and one day, you will meet others like us. Remember who you are. Remember what you have shown. With that, the fleet began to ascend, slowly at first, then faster, until the ships disappeared beyond the atmosphere. The sky was empty again, but it felt different. It was no longer a sky of fear or uncertainty, it was a sky of possibility. Emma lowered herself to the rooftop, exhausted but exhilarated. We did it, she whispered. Amir smiled. We didn't just survive, he said. We proved something about ourselves. Across the globe, humanity emerged from fear stronger and wiser. Leaders began to cooperate instead of arguing. Scientists shared knowledge freely. Ordinary people acted bravely, realizing that their actions mattered in ways they had never imagined. The aliens' test had changed everything. In Cairo, Amir looked at the empty sky. A small pulse of light flickered far above, almost imperceptible, like a gentle wink from the stars. He smiled, knowing that one day, humanity might meet the visitors again. And next time, they would be ready. Emma watched the city skyline, the streets still buzzing with people helping each other, solving problems, and rebuilding trust. Humanity had learned an invaluable lesson. Strength is not in weapons, not in domination, not in fear. True strength lies in courage, intelligence, unity, and compassion. The first contact had changed everything. Not the Earth, not the aliens, but humanity itself. For the first time, humans looked to the stars not with fear, but with curiosity, pride, and hope. They had been tested, and they had risen. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, the aliens knew this, and waited to see what humans would do next. Humanity had been seen. Humanity had been judged. And humanity had proven itself. The stars were no longer distant and unknown. They were a stage for the next chapter of human history, a place where courage and spirit could shine, and where humans, ordinary and extraordinary, would one day leave their mark. And for the first time in history, humanity understood that it was ready. The skies were empty now, but the memory of the alien fleet lingered everywhere. People still stared upward, half in awe, half in disbelief. Humanity had been tested, and had passed. Yet, even in triumph, there was a sense that this was only the beginning. Emma stood on her rooftop in New York, watching the stars. The city had begun to heal and organize. Streets were cleaner, people were helping one another more than ever before. Humanity had learned to act together, to cooperate, to think beyond fear. But she knew the universe held more challenges, more unknowns waiting in the darkness. Amir approached her, the orb still softly glowing in his hands. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked. His voice trembled slightly, a mixture of excitement and worry. Emma shook her head slowly. "I don't know. But they've left something behind." She pointed at the orb in Amir's hands. Its glow had changed subtly since the aliens had departed. Faint symbols now pulsed along its surface, almost like a map. The orb floated gently, projecting a soft light onto the rooftop. Lines and shapes formed a pattern that neither Emma nor Amir had seen before. It was not Earth, not any continent. They were stars, galaxies, and planets. The aliens had left a gift, a guide, a path forward. Across the globe, similar orbs pulsed and projected patterns in cities from Tokyo to Cairo. People realized it wasn't just one city or one country being guided. Humanity had been given a glimpse of the wider universe. The test had been a preparation, a way to see if humans were ready to leave Earth behind. In New York, Emma felt a thrill. "They're inviting us," she whispered. "They're showing us the first step." Amir's eyes widened. "Into space?" he asked. Emma nodded. "Into the unknown." Governments and scientists around the world began studying the orbs immediately. They discovered that the patterns were not just stars, they were coordinates, energy signatures, and even instructions. It was a roadmap to understanding the galaxy, a treasure left by beings far more advanced than humanity. But with opportunity came risk. Not everyone reacted the same way. Some feared this new knowledge, fearing humans were not ready for contact with the wider universe. Others saw it as a chance for exploration, unity, and growth. Old divisions flared up briefly, but the memory of the alien test reminded humanity of what they could achieve when they worked together. Emma and Amir joined a group of young scientists and engineers, inspired to understand the alien gift. Every night, they worked under the stars, studying the orb's pulses and the patterns it projected. They realized that this was more than a guide, it was a challenge. The aliens were saying, "You have proven yourselves on Earth. Now, see if you can rise among the stars." Then, unexpectedly, the orb pulsed sharply. A holographic projection appeared in the sky, a figure, humanoid yet unmistakably alien, standing above the city in glowing light. It spoke, not in words, but in images, showing humans flying through space, encountering wonders and dangers, and meeting other intelligent life. Emma gasped. It was a vision of the future, a future humanity had never dared to imagine. The aliens were giving them a choice: remain on Earth, comfortable but limited, or venture into the unknown, where courage, unity, and spirit would be tested again. Amir looked at her. "We can't stay here forever," he said. Emma nodded. "We were meant for more." Across the globe, humanity began to prepare. Engineers built spacecraft, scientists deciphered alien technology, and ordinary people trained in ways they had never thought necessary. Humanity had survived the first test, but the galaxy was far larger, more complex, and full of challenges. As night fell over New York, Emma and Amir climbed back to the rooftop. The stars seemed closer now, brighter, almost within reach. The pulse of the orb echoed in their chests, reminding them of the courage and ingenuity that had saved humanity before, and that would now guide them into the stars. And somewhere, far above Earth, a faint shimmer appeared. The alien fleet, watching once more, not as conquerors, not as judges, but as silent mentors. The message was clear: humanity had been given a second chance, a path into the galaxy. Emma looked at Amir, determination in her eyes. We've passed their test. Now, it's time to see what we can truly do. Amir smiled. Beyond Earth, he said softly. Together. The orb pulsed one last time, and in its light, the first human spaceship, guided by alien knowledge, began to lift off from Earth. Humanity's next chapter had begun. The stars were no longer distant. They were calling, and humans, for the first time, were ready to answer.